I want to start out by thanking the MCDA board for letting us partner with them on the Small Contractors Outreach Program and Opportunity Program. And I call it an opportunity program because I believe that this is an opportunity for contractors and any other tradesmen to get into our programs and be part of our programs. How many folks actually have any problems whatsoever getting contractors to bid on your projects? Okay, so we got maybe 50%. Throughout the year 2014, the Community Development Division held regional trainings throughout the state. And in those regional trainings we also held lunch breakout sessions with our stakeholders to find out exactly what the pitfalls are in their programs or what's working, what's not working. So in those trainings and luncheon meetings, we found out that predominantly throughout the state, everybody is having trouble getting contractors. I would say more of a 75 or 80% turnout on, not having enough contractors in your portfolio. What happens is we have procurement, and again throughout the last couple of years we've been asked for a lot of exceptions to procurement because grantees can only get one bid. They put it out to bid 2 or 3 times and they can still only get one bid because I think for a couple reasons. One, the private sector building has really ramped up in the last couple of years, especially after NSP 2. So there's a lot of contractors doing private sector work, and some of the pitfalls for them for working with federally funded or state funded programs is the paperwork. They're small contractors, they don't like it, they don't know how to do it, all the things that you hear on a daily basis in your own shops. So what we did is we took that information back to the office and we said, how can we help our grantees get more contractors? How can we make it easier for contractors to work on federally funded projects? And we all agreed at the table that we would get a hold of MCDA because they could help us train, do some outreach, maybe do some social media. The MHRSN group can actually help contractors understand what we're looking for in contractors for our programs. What do they need? What kind of certifications do they need? They need lead-based paint certification, supervisor training. They need asbestos training. A lot of the contractors really don't want to deal with some of those things, even though we do have the RRP rule in the state of Michigan where all contractors have to have some level of knowledge about lead paint. But again, the criteria between RRP and federally funded projects are 2 different things. The clearances are different, the protocols are different. And so what we did is we partnered with MCDA and MHRSN to try to brainstorm on how we can actually get contractors to come to MCDA and learn about our programs and kind of get in the forefront of the money. If they come here, they're more apt to know who has the money, who needs them as contractors within the region, and how to participate. So we did that, and the other thing that we're looking at to get contractors involved is what we found out is a lot of places, especially in rural areas, don't have any supervisors on their staffs, on the contractor staff. So in other words, the projects are getting more expensive. They're breaching the $25,000 mark for between interim control and abatement. So we're finding out we really do need abatement contractors to do our work for the most part. Unless you're doing emergency repair programs, and that's about it. Most of the projects are over $25,000. So we got a hold of our partners, and from Clare County all the way to the bridge, we held 2 supervisor trainings, specifically to get more supervisors in those rural areas so they have supervisors that can do abatement work for them. Because when there's only 1 or 2 supervisors in the region, you can imagine how many bids you're going to get back on your projects. What happened was pretty phenomenal, I think. We started out in Gaylord, no, we started out in Clare with a partnership with Rural Development. They came to the table with about $8,000. We worked through our technical assistance program here at MSHDA, and we filled the gap on that program, and we ended up with 28 more supervisors in that region. So we're really talking about Clare County east to west to perhaps Gaylord. So that's huge. Now we have 30 more contractors that are working in that region. Then we went to Gaylord and we did the same thing. And we had another class of 30 people, 30 contractors. And the contractors were picked by the grantees, outreach to the contractors by the grantees to ensure that whoever came to the training was really actually going to work on their programs. Because we could subsidize a lot of trainings and a lot of contractors would take advantage of it, but we really don't want that. We want contractors that are interested in working with our grantees. So we ended up, at the end of the day, with 58 new supervisors from Clare County to the bridge. So, what does that mean? We held another regional training in Gaylord just last week. One of the grantees came up to me and she says, "Look at my sheet." And she had a whole list of contractors. She had like 12 contractors that bid on her projects that last week, where she couldn't get one contractor before. So I think that's huge, to make sure that the contractors are trained and they understand what we go through and what we're trying to do with our affordable housing programs. So that's the first thing that we did. We're holding another training in Marquette to do the same thing. We're going to target 30 more contractors in the UP, because in the UP we only have maybe 3 or 4 contractors throughout the UP that actually are supervisor trained and certified. So hopefully next week we'll train another 30 contractors and get them certified. We subsidized the program through MDCH. They came and during the trainings and they did the test for half the price they would normally do the test. And the training actually only cost the contractor $125 to attend for 4 days, where it would have cost them about $600 for the training and the test. So they got about an 80% savings to come to the class. And of course, you can imagine we have a waiting list of contractors that want to come to the class, but we want to be really picky about contractors that are actually going to work for us. You have a survey in front of you today that really talk about, you know, is there any problems with your current portfolio? You know, just answer those questions, because we really do need the feedback on this. We also created another survey for contractors. Next week I go up to Leelanau County and I am going to a contractor meeting, which we're hoping to get up to 60 contractors. And we're going to talk about federal programs. We're going to talk about how they can help. We're going to talk about certification. We're going to talk about Section 3. We're going to talk about all the things that we have to do as grantees to move these projects forward. So that's another, we have another survey that I'm going to hand out at that training specifically for contractors. Are you interested in working with federal or state programs? Yes or no? Are you interested in being part of MSHDA? Yes or no? To learn more about the federal programs as we go along throughout the year. And so those are the types of questions we're going to be asking, and we'll compile those questions and get them out to the MSHDA members. Anybody at the conference today will get a copy of that. We'll tally it up and let you know what they said. The other thing is that, especially in the rural area, and I know that I sat down with my partners in Grand Rapids, and they have a good contractor base, but they could use more contractors, and they have lead grants. They have all different kinds of grants for procurement of contractors, and we decided as the MHRSN group that we would help train contractors, but we want to do another training in Grand Rapids area that will reach the western side of the state, so we can build a contractor database on that side of the state. The other thing that we looked at was, how can, if a county only can get 1 or 2 bids, how can we make it so perhaps they might get 30 bids or 30 contractors bidding on the project? Well, how many municipalities use Mitten? Okay, so there's a half a dozen. Mitten is a program that MSHDA is involved in as well, and a lot of other municipalities as far as that goes, for procurement reasons. They put their bids out on Mitten. Any contractor that's signed up for Mitten can go out there and look at any of the projects throughout the region and take a pick of which ones they want to bid on, and then of course they send their bids in. What that does, it gets contractors from adjoining counties working with the county that only can have 1 or 2 contractors on their list. They may have 20 or 30 contractors bidding on their projects. So we're hoping that we can get either our grantees, the communities, to join Mitten and put their bids out on Mitten, so we can start getting more of a regional approach to contractor procurement. That's the other thing that we're working on. Real quick, I got a couple other things that kind of mesh into this. We've been working on a state agency task force, and that task force was it was completed. It was a boilerplate language and a grant application that the MDCH had for lead abatement work throughout the state. And what it said is that we want state agencies to work together. Instead of weatherization going in and doing some weatherization work, and then MSHDA going in and doing some rehab work, and then lead abatement folks going in and do some other abatement work, instead of doing it that way, let's all work together on the same project and do one whole project together. What you'll see is, I think, you'll see a huge jump in energy efficiency if we can all do it together, because what happens is weatherization goes in first and MSHDA goes in second. Some of the work that we're doing is tearing up the weatherization work. And then if MDCH does lead abatement work, in the wrong sequence, they're tearing up some of the work that we've done, and it just kind of is not very productive for the homeowners or the programs. So we've been talking for a couple months. We agreed to talk for the next couple of years, quarterly, to try to work together on our programs. And what that really means is, it really means that we have to adjust our scoring criteria. So if instead of the best first come first serve, it may be the best qualified homeowner gets help if he has all the packages together. So then we can have a general contractor that can use the weatherization crews, that can use the lead paint crews, and put these jobs together to make it more efficient. So we've been working on that, and hopefully we will come up with a scoring criteria between the three agencies that will make sense and make it easier for our grant administrators to kind of fold those projects together. So that's the other thing. And one more thing before I close. MSHDA's working, Jim Titchler basically started a missing middle type housing design competition. And as you all know, most of you know that we already have a blueprint library for single family houses. We have like 12 different designs in our blueprint library that are most typical housing stock that fits in, neo-traditional neighborhoods. So we've done that a 3 years ago, and what we're missing is the corridor buildings that lead to the downtown, the fourplexes, the sixplexes, the eightplexes, the 14 to 24 plexes. If you go out there to try to find designs that fit in that type of Michigan corridor, you're not going to find them, or you're going to have to get something that you're going to have to modify from the ground up usually. So we're hoping through this competition that with the AIA, Architects Institute, that we'll have another at least 20 designs for the missing middle type building typology. So it'll add to our portfolio for housing designs. One will be for single family, and the other one will be for the missing middle, more of a multifamily project. We're working on how to, and the other thing is they're very difficult to finance. Home funds really don't work on units for 6 or 8 or 10 units. They're starting to work a little bit when you hit 24 units in home gap financing and tax credits. You have to have those two elements together to make those projects work. So we're working on a plan to put those buildings together if they're scattered throughout a half-a-mile stretch under the same ownership, on probably a condo situation where we can share custodial elements, management elements, and so they're really going to, at the end of the day, look like one project. Why do we do that? Because if we can get an 8 and a 10 and a 24, now we've got more of a 50-unit deal. And that's about the only way we're going to get that thing to work. It's in the attorney's hands to try to figure out how to make those properties all in one. So that's kind of the last thing I have to talk about. But hopefully we'll have that cracked, and the design competition will give us some great designs to work with, and we can put those out on our website. So, is there any questions about the small contractor outreach program or opportunity program? Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea? Okay, great, great. So we'll continue our efforts through MCDA. MSHDA will continue doing lead supervisor training throughout the state through our technical assistance program. And to get that done, we need partnerships from y'all to get that done. We can't do the outreach regionally for your contractors. You have to do that yourself. You would have to provide the meeting room in your area, and we're providing the training and the testing. So if you're interested in that type of thing in your community, just give me a call and we'll see if we can set it up. Thank you.